welcome Dustin, Christine, Cass, and Raghu to the stage. Let's kick off this panel with a question, starting with Christine. So Christine, tell us about your background. Christine and Cass are both designers, and Raghu and Dustin are product managers. You're product managers. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey into growth design?
Yeah, so I've been contracting with Adobe on and off since 2010, and I've been like all over the company at different teams. And when I haven't been contracting for Adobe, I've usually been working with startups and often doing freelancing and wearing a lot of different hats. Sometimes I've been like a one-woman website band, you know, like doing everything from top to bottom. So being flexible and learning on my feet, those are like the sorts of skills that I've really built up a lot of over time, and that has served me very well. When you're running tests and you're trying to learn, that's really important, because what you find out and what you learn, it's not going to necessarily match up with what you already are very good at or already have a lot of experience in. And you need to follow where the heat is and actually like look at the data and look at what you're hearing from your users and your user interviews and go based on that, not necessarily what's easiest. Which is, you know, like in a big company like this, it can be really like tempting to sort of like follow the path of least resistance, because like this is a big company, it's a big matrix to be in. But being able to sort of like say like, well, I haven't done this before, but I think that I can learn enough to, you know, pull it off for this experiment. That's been pretty essential in sort of like getting things done and actually getting to the point where we can make the case of like, we should hire somebody for this.
It took a long time.
Cass, I have a question for you. I think I'm on. Am I on? Am I? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Cass actually joined the growth team very recently, but she's a lead and she has a lot of experience in product design. What led you to the growth team?
So my most recent one's a real estate company, and I didn't think about it until I joined the growth design team, but I was trying to do growth design there. I worked in the loyalty program for Cinema, and so we just started a lot of emails, and our team, my team we did the top performing emails, and I always wanted to know why is it doing so well, and we had some of the data, like click-through rates and that kind of thing, but I never knew why people were clicking on this image, or this part, was it the designs, or the colors, or the fabric, or something like that. And so when I realized that at Adobe, I would have the opportunity to work with researchers and product and everything, and I was really excited because that is what makes sense to me. And to talk to him and say, why do you like this? Why did this work? Why did this not work? And really get into there, and also understand like the emotional journey. Like that person was really frustrated. They shouldn't be that frustrated. How do we solve for that? Does that?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I mean, so you're saying that anybody could become a growth designer with like, but having a background in other forms of design helped you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Help you?
Yes, and I'd say it's more than just design. I believe that design is more than just creating something beautiful, but it's really about solving problems. And design is for like making the world a better place. You could be a graphic designer, but you could do many other kinds of design. It needs to be more about thinking. And I do think that growth design is also about business and marketing. So it's being able to create solutions that also not only obviously benefit the customer, but benefit. So business and marketing together.
So that's great.
In psychology, we really like design and understanding humans and why we do what we do.
Awesome. Raghu, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, so I know that like as somebody who's consulted for Adobe, you guys have so many different departments. So then it's funny because I was speaking with my friend Jean, and she's a marketing analyst, and it was kind of confusing because I'm like, oh, so you must work with the growth team to look at numbers. And she's like, no, I work with a completely different team. So I was wondering, how do you guys work with data analysts? Do you guys have one on your team? And what is the difference between the growth data analyst, or the marketing analyst, and then somebody who is looking up information for another team?
Sure, yeah. This is interesting because like I said, I used to manage a data team. I think it comes down to, for me, from a growth team perspective, is people who really care, right? So I think when I'm thinking about data, and this is a general thing, so it's designer or data person or PM, that's something that we always look for, is you're just not just shipping stuff, you really care about the outcome and the why. Now, for the analyst side of things, the way that connects is you're looking for people who are not just there to kind of write SQL and kind of tell you what this is the reply, but they're interested in the impact that it's making. So from an organizational perspective, how that translates is right now we have a team called Marketing
Marketing and Consumer Insights.
Not Marketing and Consumer Insights. We call it MCI, that's the term we use always, so I don't really remember what they're called. So that's a team of analysts who are interested in marketing and consumer insights, right? So they know how to dig into data, both quantitative from like a writing SQL and getting stuff out there, but also analyzing, putting out surveys and things like that, right? So we're working with people there, and that's the team that we work closely with. Now, marketing analysts could well be, and that terminology is very flexible. It could be as simple as, oh, I'm trying to figure out what the click-through rate on this particular email that we sent out is, to somebody being an MCI, like an analyst, the way we're talking about. So it really depends. You want to talk to the person to really understand what do they want to do. And this is not just, like I said, it's not just analytics. When I have a growth engineering team, the first thing I do is go talk to the engineering manager and tell them, here's the kind of person I want on my team. Because if you get the wrong person who just is there to ship and go finish and move to the next one, you're gonna have problems.
So you have to be very clear on your intention of who you want to hire and
Absolutely.
understand the role that you want them to work on. So make note everybody, right? Okay, moving on to Dustin, I actually have a follow-up question that's relevant. You gotta pass the mic though. Oh wait, you already got the mic. So already got the mic. Okay, so we talk about data and we look at an organization like Adobe or even, like Google. Think about Google, they have 250 different products and services across the company. Adobe has, I don't know how many people, but you guys have, it's a big 15,000. It's a lot of people. So how many people have access to all of the data about the users? And do you guys have that kind of access, or is it a specific key holder who wants that information?
We totally have access, but that didn't happen without trying. So it did originally start with a team of people, and you have to go and like kiss the ring of the dawns of the business intelligence tools, and then get access, and then get specific access to the user profile, specific access to their subscription profile. So I think that when I first started was a common issue, and so we would always have to really champion the fact that in order to really make an impact, we all need to be data literate, and we all need to be able to read things the same way, pull up a dashboard, pull up like a specific data point. And so actually over time that has changed. And so our team, we're all empowered with access to our own tools to do analytics. We use Tableau dashboards. Everyone's pretty savvy, including the research.
Awesome.
Well, one thing I would just add to that is to say, like Spider-Man says, or actually Spider-Man doesn't say it, somebody in the
Peter Parker.
I don't think,
Not
I think
Peter Parker,
Ben
but
Parker
Dan,
says
yeah.
that. Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's Uncle Ben, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility.
The reason I say that is the access part of it, right? I mean, you talked about a little bit about GDPR. People opt out of emails and notifications. If you are running an email campaign, you want to make sure that if you're pulling the data, you follow those processes. You should be emailing somebody, you should email, there are those kinds of things. So I think one thing that I think Dustin's done a great job of this kind of codifying the things the team needs to know as they come in, is to say, you will have access, here's all the stuff, but here are some things. If you're pulling email, make sure that you're going here and checking if they have email permissions, right? Or, so there's a couple of those kind of tenets.
Really important.
So yes, we do have access to the data, but it comes with responsibility.
I will say though that if everyone was accessing data and pulling reports and looking at numbers, that would be a great problem to have. But in a massive company, you're probably going to get like 10% of people actually doing that. So I don't think we're going to run into too many issues unless
think this is the first initiative that, they started it in 2015, but it's like Adobe's first initiative to like be really tied in with the community. They use user voice for all to source, and people upvote and downvote, whatever features that they're looking for and the benefits. So they're very much tied into the community. They release monthly. They are super duper connected. Does the XD team work with you guys on data, or do they work with a separate team?
I can answer that because I used to be on that team. Again, like I said, I used to manage the XD analytics team, so I have good connections there. So they still help me with stuff on that. No, but I think the XD team, it's not always that you get a chance to instrument a new product from scratch. And especially at Adobe, right? Because Illustrator is, I think, 35 years old. Photoshop is over 30 years old. Most of our products are like 10, 15 years at least, right? So it's not always that you come up with a new product. So on the XD team, it was great that I was there, and the team, not just I was there, the team was there when we started XD, and we were super focused on instrumenting it the right way. So I think XD probably has better data than a lot of other products where instrumentation wasn't really a focus. I remember, this was not right now, this was like 5, 6 years back on Photoshop. They forgot to turn off the language filter. So every analytics was localized. So if you had this user click this button, that would be in English for English users, that would be in French for French users. What the hell can you get out of that?
Unless they have like a translate button like they have on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, but on the analytics side, right? So we've come a long way. I think we have a lot better data to work with for all the products, but it was a struggle for those older products. XD, Spark, the newer products have had it a little easier because we've had a chance to repaint from the start.
Spark is great, by the way, for anybody who's not a designer, for content creation, it's really good. So, okay, I do have a question for Christine, actually, which would go to the audience, but I wanted to find out, I think that as a group, with a room full of designers, we want to find out about the types of projects that you work on, Christine. So let us know, please.
I've done so many different kinds of projects here, and that was visible like when Dustin was doing his presentation. Mobile, we've done web, lots of different web experiments, sometimes like really rapid deployment type of stuff. We've done a lot of email. I've done like animated graphics that have gone into our desktop app. The one that is a little cloud that's up in the corner that you download your apps from. So yeah, there's been like a whole variety, and hopefully soon we'll also be doing more experiments directly in the desktop app. So far we've focused more on the web version of Lightroom.
I've noticed actually you had a really beautiful graphic inside of that, of the top little desktop.
Yeah, the Creative Cloud desktop app.
It looks really nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was like one of our earliest projects was an animated banner, and like I have not done like animation really, like and particularly not in Photoshop, and so like that was one of those moments where it's like, we think that this would be really great, and I haven't done it before, but I'm gonna do it, yeah, and then it works out, so yeah, like that's always fun. It's really fun to learn new things. It's fun to try new things.
I also just wanted to add for all the design folks out there, Christine is what we would consider a unicorn in terms of design. So she can code, she can create graphics, she can develop all the prototypes that we're
Sometimes I write copy.
Yes.
But now Andy's gonna help.
Yeah, we're gonna help out. Yeah, sorry,
We
Monday.
recruited Andy to the photography team. So
Yes.
I think that is one of the things that's important about being a graphic designer. It's a prestige. It's the wearing all of the hats at the same time and creating them all and doing things we've done in English.
Yeah. So Cass, what kind of projects do you work on? Because I know that you started a couple weeks ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been working here for about 2 months.
Okay, 2 months. So what have you been working on with the team?
I haven't actually been on the growth team.
Okay, but in other words, you guys are collaborating in a way.
Yeah, I'm joining to help Christine's projects.
Awesome.
you're so modest. She was like in her first or second week, she was already pumping out stuff with the team on the business side, not the growth team specifically.
Well, does that count? I don't know.
I think it's
Because it wasn't like our growth team sense.
Doesn't matter what they're doing.
Do you also work on email design?
Yeah, so actually the very first project that we're working on, it's really exciting, we should get results pretty soon, as soon as we launch. You have come out some really, yeah. That was you, sorry, it's Pete's presentations. But I think when people start, you're assuming that they have a baseline of understanding. And one of the very first things that I began to understand working on this Photoshop project is that we're the beginning tutorials for users are like, there's like 5 of them, they're 20 minutes long, and anybody got time for that. And for most beginners, we're actually inserting them without even saying, here's how you bring a photo in, or here's how you do something really basic, like use a layer. Well, what's a layer here? If you've never used an Adobe product and you're coming from like Microsoft Word land, your mental model of what the program is you don't have any idea. So the project that we're working on, that's supposed to go out, is an experiment, is what if we start at the very, very beginning and reach those people because they're not engaging with the product, they're giving up, they're getting really overwhelmed, they see really cool imagery, but they say, I will never get there. Or how do I get there? How long will that take me? Well, they have no map, they don't understand the product, and obviously if that's them, it's like getting to a station going, get me out of here, right? So the very first project that I'm working on is how do we make it very, very simple for those users. We're going to do a 7-day experiment where we give them like a 6 to 9-minute video, and they're going to be able to do it every day. There's like a little tracker and email. We're going to do a combination of emails and landing, just a landing page that will have a milestone, not tutorial, because how many people don't like tutorials?
I love tutorials. I
Me
love
too.
Okay, so I wanted to toss around the microphone. Not that one, the other one, wherever it may be.
Hi, how are you? I'm Annie, and I'm a product designer at a small company. My question is, what's the workflow like before between a growth product manager and a growth product designer? And how do you guys, when you guys have like a long list of experiments you guys want to do, how do you guys come up? Do you guys look at data together and decide, and then how do you prioritize? Great question.
So what is the workflow like?
Sorry, I heard the question. I just didn't want to. I talked a lot, so I didn't want to just in there. Yeah. So the question was, in case folks didn't hear that, it was when you were working between product designer, growth designer, product manager, how do you determine from your list of ideas which to prioritize? Do you look at data to actually make those decisions? The answer is yes. So it's fairly new. Before we were intuition driven until we had good baseline data. But right now what we do is we actually do forecasting of impact. So we look at what the traffic looks like today, what potential click-through rates look like. We apply some kind of fairly arbitrary estimates of what we can reasonably impact based on what we see in the performance. And then we come out at the other end with potential saved revenue dollars that we think we might be able to impact. And then we stack rank that across the functions. It's not perfect, but it's at least a better way to be more data-driven in terms of the prioritization process. Because I'm sure part of your question is like, with all these experiments, do you sometimes just pick which one, whatever feels...
Yeah, because my boss wants us to do it all.
Yeah.
We want us to make money.
I mean, I think there's a balance between effort and impact. So I think those are the two things you need to quantify both those things, right? I mean, something which may be lower impact but much less effort versus others which are high effort but has high potential for impact. So really understanding those two things is important. And the third thing which can really help you, if you can add that in, on top of that, is confidence. Confidence in the underlying user problem we're talking about, right? Because if you feel that this is a user problem, you're fairly confident about this user problem, your likelihood of success goes up, right? So even if you put a little bit more effort, it's worth it. And sometimes you're like, this is my gut feel, but it takes a day. So let me go do that. I don't think you should do too many experiments that way. You should always prioritize for impact. But those are the three things I would say: effort, confidence and potential impact?
I will say though, effort is kind of hard though, because to Christine's point, sometimes, and oftentimes, because something is easier to do, even though it may have less impact, we generally gravitate towards doing that because we're like, we can do it tomorrow, right? And the reality is, and this is a different kind of way of thinking, our team is moving to this bolder strategy that our team is helping us gravitate towards, where we look at effort plus impact plus confidence, where impact really is the thing that stands out. Are we really going to make meaningful impact to the business and to the user experience?
And I think this was in one of the talks, I forget whose it was.
Lex
Lex.
Roman, yeah.
Wasn't Lex yours?
Paolo?
It was Paolo's talk, I think. Yeah, it was
Lex
Paolo's
always-
talk on the second day, where he
Yeah.
was essentially talking about that
Yeah.
you're kind of trying to get a mix of pebbles and boulders.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I think that's what that is, but then the pebbles and boulders are chosen based on impact being the primary part of effort and confidence.
Yeah, that, all of our talks, by the way, will be online in a couple weeks. But I was thinking, because I always hear Lex Roman, who runs a bunch of meetup, she runs a bunch of organizations, and she's a really strong advocate for growth design. She's right over there. But Lex is always like, design for impact, 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 yes. We have time for one more question. I just wanted to add one more thing though to your about the permission part. Seth Godin writes a bunch of articles and a book about permission marketing. And having permission is a great thing because you actually attract the people who are interested genuinely in your product. So if you guys would like to read a resource, check out Seth Godin.
I have a question about timeline, and this is kind of a question for any one of you. Marco, you mentioned that you had gone through Reforge, and that really kind of changed your mind about growth. And Dustin, you mentioned having a conversation with Christine and changing, how you decided to think about this. How long ago did that happen? It's easy for an outsider to see Adobe and you go, oh, it's this huge company that's very successful. They must have had this figured out a long time ago. And it's, I look at Creative Cloud and it works well, and they've already understood this. But what I've picked up, it sounds like this wasn't that long ago. I'm curious to know how many years or months ago were these things happening? When did you go to Reforge? When did you start thinking about this?
We came together May of 2018. That's when we actually banded together as a group. Before that, it was like December 2017. So not that long ago, actually, because growth as a concept, like I mentioned, is new, and we were actually trying to figure out what that is in the company. In terms of Reforge, that's pretty recent too. Like I went in the past year. It's very rigorous, but it's very insightful.
I think the Reforge part of it, just for everybody here, I've heard people say, oh, I didn't learn anything new, right? And it's probably true, because there's, what they say there is common sense. But it's like common sense is not that common, right? So what Reforge really does is turns that common sense into frameworks that you can then apply. That's the power of Reforge, as far as I was concerned. I think I took that late 2016 or early 2017. So yeah, it is fairly new, and I would say a lot of us were trying to do what we now would call growth in different parts of the company. I think after some of the success that Dustin had, the executives basically said, we need to make this, we need to actually invest in this stuff. Before that, it was backbore or steel. I remember Christine was working with Dustin, and I needed design for the XD Grow team. I didn't have a designer. And in fact, one of the product designers I worked with, she said, oh, I don't believe in this experiment that you're trying to do. I'm not going to design for you.
What?
Yeah, I respect her for that. She was like, I don't believe in this. I'm a designer. I need to work on stuff that I believe in. So she said that. And I actually went to Christine and said, hey, can you take like 5 hours out of you helping him and code this landing page for me, please?
It wasn't 5 hours.
It wasn't 5 hours.
It's never fun.
She was awesome in doing that. So it was a backbore steel model within Adobe for a long time, right? Maybe like a year and a half, 2 years. But I think what changed it was some of the success that the Follow Me Home stuff that Dustin and guys did, and the kind of stuff that they did, that the organization said, yes, we need to make this a thing. I think now, like he said, we have almost tripled, quadrupled in the past year or so. So now there is this push to say, okay, we need to staff this, we need to give them the permission to go out and do these things. And I think now that we have more people joining the team, research, design, analytics, I think it's now coming together as a team.
Well, I think that's, unless you want to add anything on there, we actually have to.
Can I? Because I wanted to respond
Of course.
to the comment
Of
section.
course.
Comment.
Yeah.
I think what Regu and I probably agree with is it's not that we don't have, a lot of us don't have common sense. It's that Reforge is a nice intersection in our busy days of being saturated with like acronyms that the business uses, the concepts that we talk about in the business. And it's less about not having it, it's being reminded that this is how we should be thinking about it. And so again, one of the core values that I have for my team, be simple, right? Like, don't make it an over-engineered kind of solution. Just think about the problem as a user would and watch them. Like, the coach mark thing, that's like a super common sense, if you will, but like, how would you ever know that they're confused by the lingo that you use or the way you display things? So that's the way I would.
Thank you. Actually,
We'll stick around for a little bit.
Oh yeah, they're gonna stick around. Actually, that kind of reminds me of a talk that Chris Galello, who we spoke earlier, but he gave a talk about the design process, or maybe it was about, it was at our design hacks night, and he spoke about how difficult it is to keep things simple, and that it takes a lot of like editing and chopping and chopping and chopping until you get to that simple solution or that simple understanding. So it's not always like the first thing, it just takes a little bit of time to get there to distill things down into the bare bones and the simplicity. So I do think that any kind of, that's it, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But thank you very much for having us tonight, and we really, really